with Wichita State Shocker basketball head coach Gregg Marshall is brought to you by Patterson Legal Group. They're the good guys. And by Jacobs Liquor Exchange. Here's the voice of the Shockers, Mike Kennedy.
We had not anticipated having a women's basketball coaches show tonight, but we will. So it is Coach Marshall until 7 o'clock. Keitha Adams will be in with Steve Strain to recap the women's basketball season from 7 to 8, and then Todd Butler from 8 to 9 talking Shocker baseball. So we'll keep you here a while tonight at AJ's. Certainly this is an interesting day in Shocker basketball. You come off a big game yesterday with Cincinnati. In the past, on this day, we would be waiting a week to find out about Selection Sunday and the NCAA tournament, and the Valley tournament would be over. As it is, we're headed to Orlando this week for the AAC tournament and then Selection Sunday in the NCAAs. But, Coach, yesterday, just an incredible game, and I know that the biggest part of the disappointment for you is with those 6 seniors that you care about very much. You just wanted that extra special moment for them.
No doubt. There's so much emotion on any senior day to begin with, Mike, but especially when you have 6 guys. I mean, almost half your team, and a couple of them are fifth-year seniors and 3 fourth-year seniors. So lots of experience and lots of familiarity with those guys, and we've been through a lot, and a lot of great memories. But you wanted to make one more special memory. Unfortunately, Cincinnati had something to do with that, and obviously beat us by 1 point. Played a great game, but in the end, it was a somber senior day. You want those guys to watch those videos and hear their testimony with just a joyous background music and background just feel. And it wasn't to be, but there's a lot of basketball to be played. We talked about a lot of positive things that we had accomplished already this year, and the fact that we played for a championship and had a ball in the air to win a championship in our first year in this league, which was not totally unexpected, but we weren't picked to win the league. So we had the chance. We controlled our own destiny, but so did Cincinnati. And there's 2 teams out there, and they made one more play. But the ironic thing, and this is what I tried to pound on the guys, is since 2012, we had this very same situation, lost on senior day, and that's the only time we have not won a regular season championship prior to yesterday since 2012. But that team ended up going to the Final Four. So you just have to plant that seed and hope they hop back up and play like crazy this weekend and take this thing as far as we can and then roll into the NCAA tournament. The positive is we don't have to worry about being in the NCAA tournament.
There is so much we can talk about, but one of the things when the AAC scheduled that game for the last game of the regular season and got it on CBS, they were hoping for a situation exactly like yesterday. And I don't know if you could have had a better showcase for the league, for the 2 teams involved, and for this arena and this program yesterday.
Well, I probably not. And there are a lot of positives, as I mentioned, that come out of this. Number one, it was the highest rated television CBS televised basketball game in the 5-year history of the league. And that was Shocker Nation. I mean, you can't even describe how incredible that atmosphere is. And one of the referees who I've known for a long time came to me and he didn't touch me, but he basically threatened me. I've known him for a long time. He knew my college coach. Let's go back and Coach Nunnally's probably been deceased for 15 years. But he said, man, if you ever leave here, I'm going to kill you. No, I won't kill you, but I'll be really mad at you. He goes, do you understand what a great atmosphere this is? It's probably one of the 5 best in college basketball. That's what he said.
Absolutely, and both teams played at such a high level that, one of the things that was so interesting about this series this year, you win at their place, they win here, 2 extremely close games, but normally you put 2 teams together and you look at the 2 games and there are some differences. One team has a particular advantage in this stat or whatever. Both games, both teams were almost exactly the same in just about every stat across the board.
Except we shot it a whole lot better at their place, which would probably make sense with We didn't shoot it particularly well yesterday, and we out-rebounded them this time, and they out-rebounded us last time. So the losing team wins the rebound war. You'd rather win the points made war.
And a little bit of an unusual stat yesterday, almost coincidental a little bit, because you only had 9 turnovers the entire game, but they had 16-2 on points off turnovers. So they scored almost every time you turned it over, and yet it wasn't, other than the first one I remember was in the backcourt and they dunked it, but it wasn't like a bunch of what you'd call atomic bomb turnovers where they got easy breakaways.
Yeah, we had 2 really, really dumb turnovers, and those were big, big plays. Early in the game, like second or third possession, we threw it in the backcourt, and instead of retrieving the ball, Landry let the ball bounce, and they opportunistically ran and grabbed it and made one pass for a dunk. He could have easily got the ball, and then they would have been attacking our set defense. So that was one play, and then Shaq rebounded a ball, went to the floor, was hustling like crazy, and thought he could make the pass to, I think, to Richard, and it ends up going right to Cumberland, and they lay it in under our basket. So those 4 points are big. Other than that, Shaq had a couple travels and whatnot, but we didn't turn the ball over. But they weren't pressing us like they did at their place.
You know, the other thing that I think you have to mention about yesterday's game, sports are incredible in the way they provide the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I mean, those highest of highs is why we all get excited about it and love to follow it. But you think about this, the tiniest margin between that last shot that Connor took, going in and missing, and on that margin is the difference between everybody feeling bummed out and an exhilarating. That place would have been nuts for minutes afterward. The local kid hits the game-winning shot. It's a game everybody would have remembered. For years.
When I asked him to get the ball on the last play instead of Landry, I thought that exact thing. He's so good in isolations. The way they run their out-of-bounds plays, for 2 games now, other than 2 or 3 times, every time we've taken it out, we've gone to the same play. And it basically is the point guard or the guard with an isolation on a big. And we did that several times with Landry up there, and then several times with Landry, but he wasn't very successful in his ISOs yesterday. So we gave Connor the look, because that's one of the things he can really do. As small as he is as a 2 guard, the thing that he does best is score off the bounce.
And had just made a huge shot a few seconds before that to get you within 1.
He had made the 2-pointer to get within 1. So, and I'm in my head, I'm going, okay, local boy, here we go, make that shot, you'll go down in history. But there'll be some, as soon as he missed the shot, and then Darryl was kind of pushed under and missed he had plenty of time to take a dribble and try to power it back up, but they get a little sped up in that time. My saying is there's always more time than you think. And in that case, it would have really been beneficial for him to take a dribble or 2 and get the angle better. But I told Connor, after he missed the shot, the game was over, everyone's standing there in disbelief, and I said, listen, that's not the last shot you're going to take, okay? And I want you to continue to shoot them with confidence, and, that's it.
You are listening and watching Shocker head coach Gregg Marshall, and we will come back to AJ Sports Grill at the Alley right after this.
In any contest, it takes more than just knowing the rules to win big. Think, when you add talent, you can get more. Make the winning shot. If you get injured, call the Patterson Legal Group.
All rise.
Get the right players for the right game. Call the good guys and get the power of more.
The good guys are the way to go. Call 687-2400.
Hello, Shocker Nation. This is Cindy Carnahan with the Carnahan Group at J.P. Wygand & Sons. For the past 40 years, the Carnahan Group has been helping the great people of Wichita buy and sell homes, helping with first home purchases, patio homes, and everything in between. Whether you are trading up or paring down, we want you to call on us. Let us put our vast experience, our robust marketing, and our proven systems to work for you. Whether big or small, our service is the same. I promise.
I love Carlos O'Kelly's queso.
Man, that's what I'm gonna miss most about Wichita.
Oh, why the ref's taking our food?
Whoa, we didn't double dip.
Looks like we won't be going to the monitor for this one. Carlos O'Kelly's queso is for everyone.
So how many quesos? 36. Got it.
You don't have to be a Shocker legend to love Carlos O'Kelly's queso.
Founded in 1919, Lewis Street Glass is a fourth-generation family business that got its start installing and replacing automotive glass. In these times of cut-rate, no-warranty competition from industry giants, we remain true to our long-standing policy of fair pricing and total customer satisfaction. With service professionals who specialize in automotive work, we offer all types of auto glass services, including door mechanical repairs as well as glass restoration work on classic cars. Lewis Street Glass, where we're proud to be Kansas's oldest glass shop.
It has the power to soften the blow. Break the ice. And melt your heart. A healthy smile is a powerful thing. It deserves Delta Dental, the nation's leading dental benefits provider. Learn more about our individual and family plans at deltadentalks.com.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show, our usual Monday get-together. I want to mention again that it's a three-show night. We'll have Keitha Adams coming up from 7 to 8 to wrap up the women's basketball season, and Todd Butler 8 to 9 talking Shocker baseball. Next Monday, we'll be back here from 6 to 7 right after Selection Sunday to talk about the NCAA tournament, where the Shockers are going, the seeding, who they're playing, all that stuff. So be sure to be here for that. Coach, one other thing from yesterday's game that was kind of unique was the first half. It's 37-36. It looked like maybe the same kind of game as you played in Cincinnati, where it ends up in the mid-70s. Second half's 25-25, and it was hammer and tongs defense at both ends.
Hammer and tongs.
Hammer and tongs.
Okay.
It was a very physical game.
I thought it was a bloodbath. That was my terminology for it. And they were letting it go, man. I haven't gone back and watched the film. I'm going to either do it tonight or in the morning. We took today off, and I took a personal day just to lick my wounds and kind of recollect about where we are and what we need to do. And I'm going to break the film down tonight, and we won't meet again. I think we may show some film tomorrow, but we won't be physical at all. They won't lift or do practice. So give them 2 days off, and then we'll get back after it Wednesday in Orlando. And then Thursday we'll practice not knowing our opponent.
Cincinnati has an outstanding defensive team. That's well documented. But maybe they don't get enough credit for their offense. 76 points a game. They've got a lot of talented guys. So were you pleased that yesterday was a continuing step in the right direction with where you want to be defensively?
Exactly. I mean, you can pick it apart. We weren't very good offensively, but we defended like we used to. So it's hard. It's hard really to every game's going to be different. Every opponent's going to be different. As you mentioned, this game was very similar in Cincinnati in stats and whatnot, but that's a very good basketball team. I mean, that's a team, and that's why everybody was so excited. Chance to win a championship, beating a top 10 team, and even better than that. Now I think they're 8. The job that Mick's done with his team this year, I think, deserves not only Coach of the Year in our league, but Coach of the Year nationally consideration. People are not talking about it, and I don't understand why. They've lost 3 games throughout the course of the American Conference season, and then I don't know who they played in the pre-conference. That's what I haven't gone back to look that far. But let me tell you something. They've got great players that play really, really hard. They're physical and tough. I see this being a tremendous rivalry and combatants for years to come.
I did want to talk a little bit about the seniors. I haven't had a chance to talk to you at any length about this group, and certainly this is a special group, not only in size. You mentioned it's the biggest one you've had here, but also it's interesting because there are certainly a different mix of personalities. You've had Shaq for 5 years, some guys for 4. Daryl was a 2-year guy, Connor a mid-year transfer, kind of 2.5, but it's really all come together as a very well melded group over the last couple of years.
Yeah, you wouldn't know Rano and Connor were in the room. They're so quiet, and especially Rano. He never has anything to say. He's the easiest guy to coach in the world. He's a wonderful, wonderful person. and he's going to have a successful life, and he's going to be happily married somewhere, and after the ball stops bouncing, he's going to have a very good job. It's going to be a conservative job, but he's going to love that family, and they're going to be fantastic. Connor Frankamp, I mean, came to us after 2 years or a year and a half at KU, and has just been great. He had the little blip is like the third day he was here right before he started his we were in Christmas break when he transferred, and after that there's been not one peep out of him, and he's just seems to be really happy. Even though he doesn't smile a lot, I know that. He seems to be very content with his career, what he's accomplished, yet he knows that there's more out there. He wants to play, and there's not a huge market for 6'2" guards out there, but he's so talented, he'll find a place, and he'll make some money in Europe. Richard and Zach, you have to talk about them together.
Yeah, they really do.
They're bookends. They've been roommates since freshman year. They're best friends. They're not literally brothers, but figuratively they consider themselves brothers. And Brown is the 3-man, and I just love how Lynn wears his jersey sometimes. He's a special kid, and he's got a huge heart. And he made a big shot the other day. He's always given everything he can. And I thought didn't he have a and one early in the game?
Yeah, he did.
It was nice. Great pass.
Yeah.
It was a great pass over the top. And then Kelly. Kelly has become the vocal leader. Shaq is a leader because of his immense size and talent, and the fact that he's the elder statesman, and everybody knows his ups and downs, and he's the heartbeat. But I think Richard's the verbal leader, and it's interesting to watch that come to be, because 2 years ago, or maybe, I think it was a year ago, Coach, what do I need to do to help this program? I said, embrace the JYD. You're not a pretty player. You've got an ugly jump shot. We can say that on the air. I haven't said that in 4 years, but we can say that now. It's not a secret. Just embrace the dirty work. Embrace being the toughest guy out there, and get your body and your conditioning and the best it can be. And then he came like a week later, and he wanted another meeting. And he said, Coach, what do I need to do to help this team? What can I do? And I said, is this Groundhog Day? Are we going to talk about this again? Didn't you hear me last week? You asked me the same question. Do you want a different answer? Do you want me to lie to you and tell you something just because you want to hear it? Or do you want me to tell you the truth? He goes, no, I know you're going to tell me the truth. And I did. And he finally got it. And it was midway through last year. And from that point, his career's just taken off and blossomed. Darrell Willis. The guy has the most easygoing personality. Everybody loves Darrell. Darrell's a little eccentric. Darrell never met a shot he didn't like. Darrell.
Or a person he didn't like.
Oh, no. I remember the very first time you interviewed him, like our third game, and he's on the air, and somebody had already showered and was coming out of the tunnel.
It was Austin.
And he goes, hey, buddy, on the air.
Across the arena.
Across the arena. Just has no idea, but is so lovable. And, the plantar fasciitis is hurting him every day. He's working on it, but I've had it. I can't imagine playing basketball with it, but he's just gutting it out. I mean, he's really banged up with his foot, but he can get buckets like he did over the last week at Central Florida. That was a huge basket. And then Shaq. That's the guy that I'm most moved by because of where he's come from at the beginning of 5 years ago. And there were 2 or 3 years when we didn't know if he would make it from a day-to-day existence. And now he's a dominant force in our league in the American Conference, and a first-team all-conference player, and a graduate, and a champion. And wow, what's next for him?
And I wanted to, one of the things I don't know if people realize about Richard Kelly is his sense of humor and how clever he is sometimes. Earlier this year, Brett Barney got into a game late, made 3 or 4 baskets, and there was some video of it on the internet and so forth. And Richard referred to him as a walking bucket. And Aaliyah Funchel, who's the reporter for the Sunflower, the student newspaper, apparently sat some of the guys down this last week and interviewed them, and she asked Richard about Daryl's confidence. And he said, the reason Daryl's so confident, he's the first basketball player from Wisconsin. He said, I've never heard of another basketball player from Wisconsin.
That's a guy from the East Coast now, right? You know, East Coast people, I think the world stops at the Mississippi River.
You know, you mentioned also what a verbal leader he is. And, you know, where I saw it kind of start was the trip to Canada a year ago, the past summer. You had a couple of games toward the end of that trip where you started pressing, and it was really effective. And Richard was kind of calling things out, leading the press. And Chris Jan said at the time, he probably knows everything we're running right now better than anybody else on the team.
Yeah, he's very bright. But a lot of these kids, you know, just one day they'll coach. Kelly's coaching now. He's got a little team in town. A little MAYB team, and he loves it. He loves doing that, so he would be great. But he's got some basketball to play overseas, and he'll be a huge favorite over there because he's just, as you mentioned, he's very bright, he's very articulate, he's very he just gets along well with people. He brings people together, you know, and they're become woven, and that's one of the reasons I think this group is so close, because of guys like Richard Kelly and Shaq's personality and Zach's big heart, and Daryl Willis's easygoing, laid back personality. It's a tremendous group.
And all of this has evolved through the culture that you've developed here, from guys earlier like Ramon Clemente and Clevin Hanna, through certainly Ron and Fred and Takeo. But Landry mentioned in the post-game interview yesterday how much he's learned from Richard as a vocal leader. And these guys will tell you how much they learned from Fred and Ron and Takeo and those guys.
Absolutely. Did we talk about seeing Ramon at the Connecticut game?
We didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, he looked great. Yeah. He looked so good and is so incredibly proud of Wichita State. Still claims whenever he stops playing, and now he's been playing professionally for 9 years, he's coming back to live in Wichita, and he looked wonderful. It was so good to spend time with him and his girlfriend, and up in Hartford. Lynn and I seeked Lynn and I out right after the game.
We will continue with Coach Marshall. Obviously, yesterday was a tough day, but a lot of positives still and a lot to look forward to. And we'll start focusing on that when we come back.
So you want to join the popular RV movement? Why not try it before you buy it at Ramsey's RV Rental in Augusta, Kansas? Ramsey's RV Rental has top-of-the-line towable travel trailers that sleep up to 8 for your next getaway, road trip, hunting trip, or tailgate. Small to large, toy haulers too. Many of Ramsey's RV units come equipped with state-of-the-art flat screens, kitchens, bathrooms, and more. Book online now at Ramsey'sRVRental.com, where you could say Ramsey's RV Rental has changed camping into glamping. Ramsey's RV Rental, 316-775-3637.
People come from all over the world to shop at Jacob Liquor Exchange.
Ooh la la, look at the selection. One for every occasion. Oui, oui, c'est magnifique.
You've got to be kidding. We don't have this much scotch in all of Scotland.
You have more vodka than the Kremlin. When I want beer, this is where I get her done.
Jacob Liquor Exchange has the largest selection of beer, wine, and spirits in Wichita. We're right on the way and right on the price. Jacob Liquor Exchange.
Your eyes are often the first to capture important memories. Dress them for the occasion with a new pair of glasses from Howard's Optical. For nearly half a century, Howard's has given you the look you want and deserve. Ask about the Ultimate Lens Package at any of their 4 locations in Wichita: Bradley Fair, Riverside, 13th and Mays Road, and their main store at 5405 East Central. Howard's Optical, a heritage of quality, service, and integrity. Visit howardsoptical.com, proud supporter of Wichita State basketball. Go Shocks!
I'm Coach Gregg Marshall. Getting an award means you've achieved something exceptional. So when I tell you that Welch's Heating and Air offers award-winning service with a 96% satisfaction rating, what that means is Welch's will do an exceptional job in taking care of your family's comfort needs. I should know, as I rely on Welch's to take care of my family's comfort needs. Call Welch's Heating and Air, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning customer care dealer at 733-1600.
At Belmere & Glass, we know our work reflects our family name, but we also know that what we do reflects on you.
For over 50 years now, Bell Mirror and Glass has created and installed nothing but the finest custom-made glass, mirrors, shower enclosures, and more for your family or business. Visit the gorgeous Bell Mirror and Glass showroom today.
And let what we do reflect on you.
Bell Mirror and Glass. For over 50 years, a reflection of perfection.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. Wichita State ending the regular season yesterday at 24-6. They head to Orlando, jetting out of here on Wednesday morning, and will open play in the American Athletic Conference tournament on Friday evening, 6 o'clock Central Time, as the 2 seed in the tournament against the winner of a game between Tulane and Temple, which we'll talk more in a little bit. Coach Marshall just mentioned that those guys who have been part of the program from the beginning, Ramon Clemente, a perfect example, will always be part of the Shocker family, not only with Coach Marshall, but with the fans here and the people who got to know them. Likewise, guys that have contributed to this program as part of the coaching staff who have moved on will always be family. Greg Heyer, I know, tweeted yesterday about the 6 seniors and how much he enjoyed coaching them and rooting for them. And tonight, 2 of Coach Marshall's former assistants here are in action in their tournaments deep in the tournament. Earl Grant College of Charleston in the semifinals of the Colonial Athletic Association tournament, and Steve Forbes in East Tennessee will go for their second straight Southern Conference tournament championship and another trip to the dance.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, as we do this, I'm trying to get Earl's game on, if anybody's listening out there, 2260 CBS Sports Network. Would love to see Earl's game. I was watching it at halftime before I came here, and they were up about 3 or 4, 37, 33, something like that, in the first half. And it was going to halftime, so we should be about midway through the second half now. Earl's done a great job this year. Everybody's talking about him moving on, and I mean he's yet to go to the NCAA tournament, but this is his best chance. They're loaded. We saw them obviously at our place. Grant Riller, the kid that was dynamite in the second half, has had a heck of a year. Joe Cheeley was a preseason conference player of the year. Brantley, I know their team. I'm very familiar because I talk to Earl monthly during the season. He called me just the other day. Excited. Hopefully they can win. I don't know who is. I know Northeastern's still alive in the other side, but that's a good league historically, very similar to the Valley. Remember the Colonial and the Valley back in the days of Bracket Buster?
Oh yeah, very much.
Yep.
So. George Mason and all of those teams.
When I came here, Appalachian State we were finishing a home and home with Appalachian State from the Bracket Buster. In fact, that was my first road game as the coach at Wichita State, was going back to Boone. But let's see. Steve Forbes, gosh, he's done a great job too. They had won 13 in a row. They play a 16-game conference season. All they had to do was win one of the last 3 to be co-champions of their league, 2 and they're outright champions. They lose 3 in a row down the stretch. He was heartbroken, and then they go into the tournament, and now they're in the finals against Wes Miller-coached UNCG team.
You know, this is the time of year as you go into the conference tournament that all conference and those types of things come out. And to me, it was going to be really interesting to see how this all shook out, because in the Missouri Valley Conference, just for everyone's edification, each school has 4 voters for all conference: the beat writer from the newspaper, the play-by-play broadcaster, the SID, and the head coach. In the American, just the head coaches vote. And that can be interesting sometimes, because you never know what coach may not like a guy on another team, or he may not want to vote for a certain guy because he might think it hurts his guy in the voting. Today, both Shaquille Morris and Landry Shamet were named to the American First Team All-Conference, and I think that's and you have mentioned, you come into the league and the national media are giving you all this build-up and how they're going to come in and do this and that can cause some resentment in an established league. So all of that obviously got put aside, and those guys really earned everyone's respect.
Absolutely. They've had great years, and I was so glad that both of them deserved it. In the Valley, we would have never had more than one, maybe unless you have Ron and Fred. It was always tough to get our due in that league, and hopefully Landry and Shaq are the first of two many all-conference players in this league. Jacob Evans, Gary Clark, both very deserving from Cincinnati, and then Rob Gray from Houston, the all-time leading scorer in the league, and Houston's had a great year. I was hoping that we could win the regular season championship just to be regular season champion, but also to be out of their bracket. I mean, they're equally as good as Cincinnati and us, so it's definitely three teams already locked in the NCAA tournament, and if anybody else wins the tournament, this is a 4-bid league.
Yeah, we've talked about this over the course of the year, but you can look at the all-conference selections. You mentioned names like Jalen Adams, Junior E2, Melvin Frazier, Jeremiah Martin, Shake Milton on the second team. That's a pretty good league when you got players of that caliber.
Shake Milton would have probably been first team had he played. He didn't play down the stretch. I bet the one thing about this whole deal is it might be a little bit of a silver lining if he comes back and plays in the tournament that we're not in the bracket with SMU, because he's a lottery pick. I mean, as a junior, he doesn't even have to come back for his senior year. In my opinion, what I saw is this guy is a lottery pick. 33 points in Koch Arena, and he put on a show. So, I mean, we recruited him for a while, and then we had a coaching change, and that assistant coach left, and that's where you get hurt when coaches leave. But you always want to promote these guys because I like to ride their coattails. I like to see how they're doing, and hopefully there's Earl Grant right there. They're up 7 points with 5.5 to go in the semifinals. So hopefully they can finish the deal and he can get to the dance. That would be unbelievable. One of my guys, it would be the first time Forbes has been.
Yeah,
Forbes has been to the dance.
Last year.
So this would be the second of my former assistants to make it to the NCAA tournament.
You know, every year leagues have their conference tournaments, and there's this conversation about, well, it's a new season for everybody, and everybody has a chance to win the tournament and go on to the dance. In a lot of cases, that's nice to say, and it's nice rhetoric, but I don't know about anybody else winning this tournament, but this is going to be a highly competitive tournament. We've talked about the quality of players in this league, and there are going to be some great games in Orlando this week.
When you can play Temple in the quarterfinals, and you're the 2 seed, it's a really good league. That is a tremendous basketball team. Now, they seem to be Jekyll and Hyde. Who is a better player, Jekyll or Hyde?
Well, Jekyll was the nice one, Hyde was the mean one, so probably Hyde was the tougher player.
We get Hyde when we play those guys. They're incredible. I have a ton of respect for their coach, obviously, but the players get up for us. We've had 2 battles with them, and they're a tough out in the quarterfinals when you're the 2 seed. Tulane, it could be Tulane. I mean, Mike's got Frazier. They're talking about as an NBA player. There's NBA players on the second team in this league, on the second team. Who knows if Jalen Adams doesn't make it? It's crazy the depth of talent that we're seeing on a nightly basis. And I think that's why Koch Arena was so packed yesterday. To have Cincinnati come in, obviously everybody can see the talent, see how hard they play. What a great opportunity. And that's why it was so packed and had such a great TV audience. And that's just we're in our first year. I mean, there's a lot of potential for this league.
Perfect example is your other game last week where you go down to Orlando and certainly didn't play badly, but really had to fight your rear end off to get a win against UCF, a team that lost one of their best players early.
Yeah, and so we're talking about the people on our side. We've got Houston waiting in the semis if we can get there. We've got Temple or Tulane in the quarters, and then obviously Cincinnati or whoever from the other bracket. But you've got we mentioned SMU not wanting to play them if Shake Milton's back. And then Central Florida. Those guys can make noise, and they've got some seniors, so they've got the extra incentive of, if they don't win the tournament, they don't go to the big dance. Same with SMU.
And Central Florida, although it's not on their home court, it's at the Amway Arena, they're in their home city, and they have a chance to draw some people, especially if they start to make some noise.
Absolutely. If they win that first game and then they can get to the semis. There was a great crowd. I tell you what, I was impressed with their facility when we went down there. I was impressed with their crowd. The crazy thing is it's 86 degrees. We're pulling up to the game, and the kids are lined up like they're lined up to get into Koch Arena so they can do festival seating, first come, first serve. but they're in shorts and flip-flops. I mean, it was so surreal. It was really strange. And but their crowd was excellent. It was very hard to hear. It was not Coke Arena on Sunday, but there are times when their crowd is louder than what Coke Arena is. So this crowd was really good. But what I respected about them was they were clean. There was no vulgarity. They were just cheering for their team and making a lot of noise because those guys were making some incredible plays.
You know, you had a chance to see the arena, Amway Arena, where we'll play this week. We went to see the Raptors play the Magic the night before our game, and just maybe some thoughts on that arena.
Well, I was walking in with my staff, Donnie Jones and Kyle Lindstedt, Isaac Brown. There's Coach Kress. That's my mentor right there, wow. Coach Kress. So it was amazing. This Amway Center is maybe the nicest arena that I've ever been in 33 years of coaching. It is pristine. It is huge. I don't know what kind of tournament how many people will go down. This is new for Wichita State fans. It's not as close as St. Louis. I don't know how many people the other teams will bring. I don't know what kind of crowd Central Florida, the local team, will bring, but it was beautiful. It's a great venue and obviously a world-class resort in Orlando. So excited for what we can do. Hopefully we can stay a while. And the semifinals and the finals are on CBS.
And by the way, if you are interested, the Shockers' first game on Friday evening will be on ESPNU. ESPN on various signals will cover the first round on Thursday and the quarterfinals on Friday, which will be a total of 8 games, and then CBS has the semifinals and finals. So ESPNU for Friday night's game. Tulane and Temple play the early evening game on Thursday. Certainly, I know your coaching staff
6 o'clock.
will be watching that. Will you take your team at all to watch any of that?
I don't know. Maybe for half. It just depends on our schedule. But we just played them both. We just played them both recently, so it's not going to be a very hard scout. Just watch their tendencies now. If they're doing anything a little more than last time we played them. I know Temple's been playing a postman that they played early in the year by the name of Moore. And, when they beat Auburn and Clemson, all high seeds in the NCAA tournament. He's been playing a little more. I saw him play on some videotape recently.
And certainly both of those teams are teams that gave you a fight. You only played Tulane once, but they had a good second half and made it an interesting game. And, of course, Temple, you had 2 grinders. You lose in overtime by 1 up there and beat them in a close game here. Yeah, they're both talented teams. In our media call-in show today or whatever, it was a radio deal, they were asking me about this league and the difference in this league and the Valley. And there's an inch or two per player and it'll make just a little bigger, more mature body per team. But the biggest thing, the difference is every team in the Valley maybe has one guy that at the end of a clock can just really go get you a bucket. These teams have 2 and 3 guys per team that you can throw it to, play great defense for 29 seconds, and they can just stick a jump shot right in your face. Well, the Shockers will get it underway on Friday evening in Orlando. Hope some of you are going, and we'll talk about a few more things coming up when we come back with Gregg Marshall from AJ Sports Grill at the Alley.
A literal fork in the road. If I go this way, I could pancake some pancakes, but if I go that way, I could omelette some omelettes. Do I pancake? Or do I omelette?
Hey! Just go to IHOP. They have all kind of omelets that come with pancakes.
Where is this IHOP?
It's right there. Don't leave that horse.
IHOP's omelets come with pancakes.
When the stakes are high, make sure you're with the winning team. You don't get to be the best by sitting around.
Learn more at serenityhomehealth.com.
Ever wonder what's in a beer? If it's a Bud Light, it's 4 essential ingredients: barley, rice, water, and hops. Here's to the beer you can always count on, brewed to be America's favorite light lager.
Winning takes hard work, commitment, and accountability. I'm Wichita State coach Gregg Marshall, and I believe in challenging our team, like switching leagues. And so does the hometown team at All Angles Collision Repair. They're in a league of their own, the very best. All Angles has the right people, processes, and prompt service, providing state-of-the-art collision repair with 100% customer satisfaction. All Angles, the winning team in auto body repair.
All Angles!
Hi, I'm Gregg Marshall, coach of the Wichita State Shockers men's basketball team, and I'm here to talk to you about Dillon's. Now, I know a thing or two about committing yourself to excellence. That's why I love Dillon's. Because the Dillon's team is committed to high-quality food, low prices, and the kind of friendly service that makes you feel right at home. So next time you're having a party or a tailgate to cheer on the team, stop by Dillon's for your favorite food and drinks. Go Shockers! Great food, low prices at Dillon's.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. Carlos O'Kelly's is proud to be part of 2 great Shocker traditions: Queso Madness during the men's basketball tournament and Coach Marshall's annual food drive for our Daily Bread food pantry. Stop by any Carlos O'Kelly's in Wichita or Hutchinson for a chance to win an autographed Shocker basketball while helping the coach fill the food pantry shelves. And we are back with Coach Marshall at AJ's Sports Grill at the Alley. Charleston, by the way, up 6 on William & Mary in the Colonial semifinals with a minute to go. Looking pretty good for Earl Grant and his club in the Colonial tournament. Again, coming up a little later, Steve Forbes in East Tennessee going for the SoCon tournament title. Coach, we talked about this a little bit, but one thing that is certainly much different this year is you go to Orlando this week, and while the goal is to win a tournament championship, win 3 more games, you know going in that you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. The 2 of the best known bracketologists, Joe Lenardi and Jerry Palm, both have you as a 4 seed today. Actually, both have you going to Boise to play Vermont, and all of that's really kind of speculation right now, but certainly going to get the kind of seed that gives you a chance to advance in the tournament.
Absolutely. We'll be anywhere from a 3 to a 6 probably, depending on what we do this week and what everybody else does. But the bottom line is you're going to play good teams when you get there. You're going to have to play every night. Anybody can beat anybody. This could be the first year where 16 beats a 1, man. There's so much parity in college basketball. And for, the 7th year in a row, we're going to be part of the greatest sporting spectacle in the United States. And it's going to be fun. Hopefully we can extend it into a second weekend and then a third weekend. But you gotta go day by day, game by game, play by play when you get in that NCAA tournament.
There is something I wanted to mention I hope you are aware of, but you may not be quite this locked into all the numbers and so forth. Wichita State is at 24 wins. They are one of 5 programs in the entire country that has won 25 or more for each of the last 8 seasons. Of the other 4, VCU is at 17 wins. They have not had a typical year. They're not going to get 8 more. So the Shockers with 1 more win should be at least one of the 4 that will now have 9 years with 25 wins or more. I mean, out of all the 350-some teams in the country, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's a little tougher in the American Athletic Conference, as we know. Instead of going 17-1, we're 14-4. We had easily could be 16-2, easily could be 10-6 or 10-8. But the bottom line is this has been a great year. We've got a lot of basketball left. Our guys I know they'll be chomping at the bit once we start practicing again, either on Wednesday. We'll definitely practice on Wednesday. And then Who knows? We got to get a great draw. We got to get a favorable seed. And even if we don't, I mean, we went to the NCAA Final Four as a 9 seed. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So you just have to play well. And when you get there, you have to be really playing well.
And certainly you have always held your own against teams, whether they were seeded higher or whatever the case in the NCAA tournament. But in your mind, has this year helped you be even more prepared for the tournament because of the steady level of competition you've played throughout the year?
I really think so. It's not it's big boy basketball. It's what you saw yesterday, and there's a lot of games like that where the battle on the boards and the physicality in the post, and we didn't do a great job of finishing when we got it inside. You know, there was a lot of contact, so we've got to continue to get better at that and knock down some jump shots. But yeah, there's a lot of great teams that prepare you for the type teams that you're going to see in that NCAA tournament.
And beyond that, even anytime you schedule for the non-conference, and you've tried for years to schedule as well as you can non-conference and give yourself a chance to build a resume, build an RPI, those things to give yourself a shot, but you never know how it's going to work out. You schedule those a couple of years in advance. Sometimes teams that have been good have a down year, but this year you have Baylor, Marquette, Notre Dame, OU, Oklahoma State that's beaten Kansas twice. I mean, some teams that are either probably going to be in or right on the border of being in, and a couple of other teams that may win their conference that you have played. So even that helps set you up for this conference.
Charleston's going to the finals of the Colonial. And remember, it wasn't 10 years ago when the Colonial and the Missouri Valley Conference were the two best mid-major leagues and constantly pitting one another in that bracket buster deal. We talked about that earlier. South Dakota State is either in their semis or finals. Florida Gulf Coast did lose in their final. Yeah. They got upset by Lipscomb. Yeah. Savannah State's probably the 1 seed in their league. Oklahoma State is making a big run now to try to get on that bubble. I saw Marquette. They had a big win over the weekend against Creighton.
Yep.
So they are now the last 4 in by one of the bracketologists.
South Dakota State's about top 50 now RPI, and they
Notre Dame
yeah.
is healthy now with Bonzie Colson. So now they're talking about how many games do they have to, because he was out for like 11 games, least, 13 games. I think they were 4 and 9 when he was out, and he's an All-American, first team preseason. So and we played him with a healthy him and a healthy Matt Farrell, who also missed 4 games. Hopefully those guys get back and they get in the dance. We're definitely battle hardened. We just have to be playing well, making shots. I know we'll compete, but we've got to be playing well, smart basketball, and making shots.
You had a couple of guys that the last 2 games, and three-point shooting has been one of your strengths all year. We've talked about you. Jump shots come and go. That's just part of the game. You've had a couple of guys that are normally very good shooters that have been through a couple of tough games. You just make sure they get in the gym, shoot a few more shots, and that sort of thing.
Well, just rep it out in practice, you know. And these 2 days off that we're giving them, I bet 80% of my team will be in the gym in some form or fashion. But it's psychological more than anything. I want their legs to be fresh when we hit this weekend, when we start playing games on Friday. So that's the biggest thing. If they think they need to get in the gym and work on their jump shot, they can do that, but it's not the coach demanding them be in there and make a set practice time.
And interesting, you make this trip to Orlando, a little bit of a trip. You go to a warm weather climate to hopefully play 3 games in 3 days, not unlike going to Maui earlier this year. So certainly they've had that experience of being in a situation like that.
That's another advantage. That's another advantage for the schedule that we played and being allowed to be a part of this. You look at CBS Sports Network now. On the top left, you've got the Shocker logo, and it's there all year. Every time I turn it on, it's there, and that's a good sign. People are watching this program. People care about this program. The fact that that's the highest rated game in the 5-year history, including the years that Louisville was part of the league, is just amazing. There's another Shocker in the bottom left on the panel.
And also I might mention not only the highest in the AAC's history, it was the second highest rated game at that time of day on CBS in college basketball this season. So it drew great attention to the program. That's got to help you recruiting a little bit, and obviously you've had a good year, but that's something that'll have to continue.
My assistant coaches had so many guys at the game, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I couldn't meet them all. Honestly, with all the other obligations that I had, I could not meet all of the recruits that we had. I said hello, but with senior day and everything, that some of them had travel problems and only got there for at the game, but it was amazing, the atmosphere and all of the positive energy that was in that building on Sunday was just awesome.
And I'm sure that most of your recruits are pretty much winding down their seasons. We're getting to that time of year, and all of them well and doing as you would have hoped.
Some of them are done. Some of them are still playing. And some of them are thinking about their next destination.
All right. Well, we're a little ahead of things tonight. We've got Keitha Adams coming up at the top of the hour.
Good.
Todd Butler coming up.
Todd Butler, 8-1. Okay.
Yeah.
The only game he lost was the last game against Nebraska. This team has Baum and Janista and Dugas and all. They're hitting bombs everywhere. Don't ride by on 21st Street during a game. It's hazardous, but undoubtedly they have a really good team. I can't wait to get out and see them.
Last thing before we go, we've talked about it, but this is a year in which it was kind of a big adventure, moving to this new conference and seeing what it held. And certainly you've held your own. It's been an exciting year to this point, and certainly a lot of excitement, a lot of optimism about what lies ahead.
I think so. We didn't know. We had no idea. And undoubtedly the league did, because they put this Cincinnati at Wichita State for all the marbles on CBS. They get a lot of credit for that. That was smart on their part. But in the end, we're there. We're in the fabric of this league. The challenge is going to be to replace these 6 seniors with these young guys and develop them as quickly as possible, so that we don't have to take a couple of black eyes before we're able to compete for championships again.
I know you don't want to talk about the possibilities all the way to Sunday, but one thing that, as we've talked about, will be different is you don't have that extra time between the end of your tournament and Selection Sunday. And will you actually stay and watch Selection Sunday if you're playing on Sunday after the game?
Well, the crazy thing is, and I hate this. I would much rather that the Winthrop and the Big South and then the Missouri Valley and Wichita State be done now, and just get this whole week to rest your bodies and get right mentally. We're going to literally, if we're playing on Sunday, we will watch Selection Sunday in a special room at the Amway Center before flying back from Orlando.
To get ready to make scrambling reservations to go somewhere else.
It's unbelievable. But it's also on CBS, and both semis and finals are on CBS after ESPN on the quarters, ESPNU, I believe. So I don't have an opinion on it. They don't ask me. They don't really care. We're just going to have to go try to win a championship.
Coach,
we'll make do.
Coach, thank you. Fun times ahead. That's our Gregg Marshall Show for this week. We will be back next week again from 6 to 7, as we'll be talking about Selection Sunday, the Shockers seeding, where they're going, and of course coming up this week, the AAC tournament. The Shockers begin at 6 o'clock Friday evening at the Amway Center in Orlando against either Tulane or Temple with their quarterfinal game. You can hear it on 103.7 with pregame starting at 5 o'clock Central Time, and of course ESPNU television coverage throughout. So thanks for being with us. Keitha Adams coming up next, and then Todd Butler on Coach's Show Monday at AJ's Sports Grill at the Out.
Now Contour from